Come on down to the television panel. I want to introduce Antony, who's our moderator, and with Gary Dollner, ACE, Mark Eckersley, Úna Ní Dhonghaile, and Tim Porter.
I'm very excited to bring this panel today because although we live in a world where there's a lot of information out there about a lot of different aspects of filmmaking, there's surprisingly little about the art of television editing. Now, that's partly because television editors are a very difficult breed to get hold of. They're often sort of hidden away in dark edit suites, ploughing through mountains of rushes. And I found through personal experience, the only way you can ever really drag them out of these dark edit suites is through the promise of booze. So I've promised booze to all these people here, and I've managed to get 4 really wonderful sort of drunken editors to come and talk to you today. If you can get them together, if you can get a few of them out, often in a pub, you'll find that editors have a very unique way of looking at the art of storytelling. And there's something about the final process, the final sort of nuances you need to add that editors see better than anyone else that really helps create genuinely great pieces of entertainment. So I'm hoping we get to pick the brains of these wonderful people and they might give us one of those sorts of little bits of insights here and there. So please let me introduce from the start, let me get my notes out so I can remember all of your wonderful credits. On my far right we have probably one of the best comedy editors in the entire world. No pressure. He's edited such things as I'm Alan Partridge, Brass Eye, The Thick of It, The Mighty Boosh, and HBO's Veep. Please welcome Mr. Gary Dollner, ACE. Next we've got a truly wondrous editor who's brought us a raft of award-winning shows such as Peaky Blinders, Merlin, This Is England, and War and Peace. It's Mr. Mark Eckersley. Next we have a 3-time BAFTA nominee who's delighted audiences on such shows as Wallander, The Missing, Ripper Street, and Doctor Who. Please welcome Úna Ní Dhonghaile. Dhonghaile, that's good. And finally, an old friend of mine, someone I've managed to work alongside with, which was more fun for me than it was for him. It's a man who has edited shows such as Doctor Who, Broadchurch, Shameless, and a small show you might have heard of called Game of Thrones. It's Tim Porter, ACE. Hi everyone. Thank you for coming along.
Pleasure.
It's good. So, given it's the television panel, I thought I'd start by talking about movies, obviously. You've all worked in films.
I haven't.
You haven't. Well, you haven't. Well, you're special. That's it.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. For the few guys that have, what's different about television? What do you prefer about working in television?
Go first.
I think it gives you a kind of film. You have a lot more time, obviously, which is kind of beneficial for actually thinking about things deeply. But I kind of like the attack of TV. You know, it kind of forces you to do things quite quickly, go with your first instincts, which I like.
Yeah, I would agree that TV, in a shorter space of time, within the same year, you can actually make the film or TV show and see it realised. Whereas on film, it could be the next year or a couple of years.
Just takes too long.
Yeah, but it has a different challenge because the film is one piece, one story that you have total ownership on. And sometimes in TV, it's a series, and there's different challenges to having a 10-part series or an 8-part series. So they're both, brilliant challenges. But I think the ownership of being able to work and collaborate with your director on a feature film is so exciting. But then TV, it, as you said, it's more instinctive and great working with the execs who actually come into the room. So there's a real face-to-face collaboration.
Sort of the ownership of it, and versus say the immediacy of seeing things realised quicker. Is that part of it? Is it because is it also the immediacy of the audience reaction? Because films can take such a long time to come out, whereas TV often it's there straight away.
It's there straight away. Thanks to Gogglebox, we can actually see them watching the show straight away.
But also you're going straight into people's homes as well, aren't you? I mean, the way I think the audience interact with television is so different. You know, it's a bit of a privilege in a way to, you know, especially if you're on a show that is a mark a standout show, you know, that everyone tunes in each week or binge watches, however they digest it. But I mean, that's a different. And also, I think certain stories fit the format, be it a half-hour comedy show or an hour-long drama. So whatever the story you're telling suits that format better than a long-form narrative, I think. So it's good.
And well, that leads me on to something. So when you're editing something with a long-form format, how much do you keep an eye on the story much further down the line? When you're editing, say, episode 2 of something that is 10 episodes long, are you really concerned about the later stories, or do you just concentrate on what's right in front of you to start with?
I think you've got to do both, really. I mean, you know, in our show, say something like Veep, which you know well, you've got an individual episode that you're trying to sort of get under control and make work, but you know, you talk to the other editors if you know what's coming up in the next. You know, is this beat important? How much do I need to give away, or how much do I need to set this up because that's coming further down the line? You know, so it's operating on different levels, isn't it? So you've got your own internal episode, and then you have to weigh up certain issues that you know are going to crop up in episode 5, 6 and 7.
We've had several conversations where
we have.
You've walked into my edit and said, "Is this in?" And I've gone, "I don't know what you're talking about."
All right.
And you've gone, "Great, thanks." And
that's the extent of the conversation.
Yeah. So, given how long and how involved some of these TV shows are, I don't think you can do this job unless you have a real passion for it. Do you guys have a moment that you really remember falling in love with editing?
I do. I thought about this, you know, and it was a very long time ago because I'm getting quite old now. And it was before I was still at school, and it's a bit of a sad moment actually. I'm not sure I should tell. I will say. A bit of a football fan, and we used to play football out on this park every week. It was a Tuesday night, and I think VHS cameras had just come out, and we got one of the girlfriends to sit on the climbing frame and film us playing football, and then another friend had his mum worked at the local college, and they had an edit suite, and what we did is we pathetically lined up our really bad football playing against very well-known football commentary of the 70s, and a few times it fitted so beautifully, and we thought it was the funniest thing we'd ever seen. And I think it is quite funny actually, but you had to be there. And I just thought it just was like a real sort of light bulb moment. I thought it's a tiny piece of obvious manipulation, but God, it could be really funny. This is really good. I like this. Let's do it again. And so that was it. And that was a long time ago. But yeah,
I was sort of the same. I went to film school, and I was specialising in directing and cinematography for 4 years. So everyone had to do their own short film using the Bolex camera, Super 16. We were editing on film, and like that, because I had never directed before. I was 20. I was shooting everything, and then I had all these rushes. I was trying to work out how am I going to tell the story, and then by putting it together, I actually made a film that actually looked quite good. And I remember that moment of realisation that all these disparate little things that I'd shot, I could do something with it and lay the music and sound, and it was, watchable. So that was a revelation.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is the how you fell in love with editing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's the next answer.
We can talk about something else if you like.
First paycheck. No, it's actually a bit left. It was, I used to put music on when I was assisting for people, and I realised that my choices, had an effect on people, and people liked what I was doing, and that was enough. All I needed is, gave me the confidence that actually my choices were valid, and I could,
Was that like a sort of a party tape at the end of a show?
No, it wasn't actually, but yeah, I've done a few of those too. Yeah, exactly.
And I think
yes.
they were all there.
Yeah.
I used to, when I first started, that was. I always thought that was a really fun bit because you could, as the whatever show you were working on, you'd always have a bin where as you were watching rushes, you throw that in, or out
silly bits. Yeah.
and it's a party. So if it's a rap party and everyone's sort of massively relieved that it's all finished and they're all sort of woo, and then you play your party tape that you put together to a good piece of music, and they think it's brilliant because they're in it basically.
The actors do like watching themselves.
Yeah, they do, especially when they get it wrong.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, over and over again, they love it.
Yeah. So that's how to ingratiate yourself with the acting fraternity. Is to get all the outtakes, put them all together, put some music on, and they'll be your friend forever.
For me, I think it was just disappearing into a scene. It's that first time you get a decent sized scene, you just kind of start cutting it, and then you realise it's lunchtime. You know, you just kind of, what happened there, it's like a kind of trance-like, kind of meditative thing. You just disappear, and then you come out the other end and go, oh, that was interesting. You know, and then you realise it's terrible. But it's just that process of disappearing into it, I think, is a wonderful thing, that you just kind of lose yourself for hours, come out the other side.
Yeah, I must say, I think everyone who's ever edited has that thing of, you go into a scene and then you come out of it and it's somehow 11 o'clock at night.
Yes.
And you kind of, oh, I need to get the last
What
train.
happened there?
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore.
That's called a deadline.
You lose
Yeah,
years
yeah.
pass.